become very rich. But even if he's not, if he owns 100% of the bank and it is a $5 million asset, you can calculate. But he started with 50 rupees. It's true. What do you guys think about it? What can you do? Which is one of the pyramid. And do not focus on becoming rich. Muhammad Ibn did not focus on it. Not with Bill Gates. Not with Michael Dell. Not with Henry Ford. Not with Andrew Carnegie. In fact, let me talk to you about the story of Andrew Carnegie. How many of you know about Andrew Carnegie? Andrew Carnegie. Well, it started, I don't know. And beyond that, you know life of Andrew Carnegie? Share that story. This should be the inspiration with which you should approach your life. Andrew Carnegie came to the United States at the age of 10. Why did he come to the United States? Because his father went bankrupt running a Scottish windmill in those days, which was used for processing grain, windmills in Scotland. He went bankrupt, no jobs, family of 4 or 5, but when they came to Pittsburgh, young Andrew, 10 years old, and his father started working in a small steel factory. Andrew Carnegie's job was to put coal into the fire. He used to come back home, all coal suit on his face, face. Often didn't have the water to drink, go to sleep, go with his father to the factory next day. Now, when he was working in this steel mill, which was a small furnace, he was studying very carefully how the reaction between coal, fire, and iron ore happens to create steel. And he came up with a new way of manufacturing steel. Didn't go to school, didn't go to college. And at the age of 23 or 24, he started his own company called US Steel. It's a very small company, which by the time he was 42 years old, became the biggest steel company in the world, called US Steel. In fact, it was the biggest company in the world. And then, of course, the rest of the story follows, like I talked about Carnegie Mellon, Carnegie Foundation gave him all the money to create all kinds of foundation. But this is how many businessmen started their lives. It was survival. His father was getting old. He was concerned whether he could, with this minimum salary, would support the family. So he started his own steel mill, very small, which became the biggest steel company in the world, biggest company in the world. By the way, he gave Swami Vivekananda $1 million. When Swami Vivekananda gave a speech in Pittsburgh, he was very impressed. He came to that meeting where Swami Vivekananda was invited. And Andrew Carnegie, Nelson Rockefeller, they all came. And in fact, after Vivekananda's talk, he wrote a very famous piece which all of you should read, called The Gospel of Wealth. Can you read, even Google and read that, Gospel of Wealth, which was written by Andrew Carnegie. The basic message is simple. The message is that some of us are lucky, though he was not lucky, that wealth accumulates around us from society. Because it accumulates around us, it's our duty to give it back to society. Where are those businessmen born in this country? I hear that Mukesh is building $1 billion home. You guys are watching and talking about it. I think time has come to really rethink the kind of country that we want to build, the kind of values we want to engage with society, and in the process really become proud of what we are doing, not because of the size of the house and the value of the house or the value of the car, but the value of the impact that it will have in society. Okay? So did I answer the question? So I think we have to keep in mind that spirit. Whether you're in the tornado one more, but all the 3 tornadoes are working. The positive side of it is a lot of things have to change. The tornadoes are very destructive. Whether we like it or not, they're destructive. But the positive side, when it's gone, the level playing field is an opportunity for you. think that's how I would look at that. I look at the positive side. So level first stage. Well, positive, I talked about it. Yeah, this is important. As a result, you would see the future opportunities will evolve along these two vectors. Whether you like it or not, there will be a lot of movement from, as you discussed earlier, from consumption-centric towards conservation-centric models. And the second axis would be from point solutions to holistic solutions. That means when you're thinking of a car, nano car, one way of thinking about how to make a nano car better, the other way of thinking about what should be the transportation system, which is dignified, which is peaceful with nature, and which is efficient. Mark my word, peaceful with nature. Then you will perhaps think of a system, think of a car, which is very different from the nano car. Or maybe you may not need a car. Think of a village setup where the small communities move around in bicycles. It's healthy, keeps you physically fit, doesn't hurt the nature. And you know, the biggest thing about bicycle, it keeps you about the balancing act. And life is about balancing. Anyway, so we will continue this reminder. But the point is here that the world would move towards the top right. Now, if you have a choice again, this will happen. You're surprised it's happening in America. But actually, it's much easier to make it happen in this country because America has an inertia on the top or bottom corner. Near the left bottom corner, heavily into it. And it's been there for the last 50 years. 80% of our population is not served with any products. So our mind is free. So the products that we can create would be at the top, right? So you have a strategic advantage vis-a-vis American counterparts. Because you're living right here with people with much less inertia, much stronger desire perhaps. I want the car. I want the Western product. But fortunately, because we are poor, those products are not available as much. You know, with me? Very important point. And then the new technologies emerging, which is positive side. The nano, bio, opto, info, the four technologies which are going to shape your life. So there is a new technology which will give you the tools. Open plain field, which you could participate and create products. And you have to think, how do you connect the supply side, which are these technologies, with the demand side, which is, now this I will not get into, but I talked about it. It's a very serious analysis. When you guys have to learn this kind of analysis in the school, shows how much of the energy in a truck is used for moving the truck. And this is the part, 11%. I talked about it earlier. The rest is wastage. Now people who are interested in automotive industry who still believe that you should use trucks and cars, which is the reserve the right approach. It reserves the possibility that cars will exist for the next 100 years. But then challenge, how do I remove the number bars which are wasting energy? And could I make this 11, 50.51 as opposed to 0.11? This is a great opportunity for you. But then the first thing, obviously, as you could see, once I talk about know thyself, know the areas where your passion is, and you have to do analysis. It's not just because someone has said that's a great idea. You have to really get into these kind of analysis. This took a lot of time, 6 months of work, presented in one chart. And for me, this is important because that allows me to make the point that I'm trying to make. So, I think I'll end with this chart. The future is full of possibilities. And I think I made that argument. But those possibilities are going to be very different from what you know. And I'm talking in the context of the way economics have changed. The very, very macro level. So possibilities are not only the micro level, when we're talking about nanopower, bicycles and village excellence, but at macro level as well. Your ability to write new books on economics, which are as powerful as Adam Smith or Karl Marx, is also there. Because if you really look at the last 200 years, much of the discussion was between the socialistic spirit, Karl Marx, or capitalistic spirit, Adam Smith. And we have somehow proven through our experiments, both of them have limits. And it has not worked because the gap between rich and poor has increased. That we have proven. Right? So what does it tell you? There has to be something new. And I'd like to give you the hope the next 2 years. Good idea.
What's that?
That as you go through your classes, spend some time thinking about what is the next discipline beyond capitalism and socialism. Why you have to reserve yourself within these two extremes, which were only more, Adam Smith wrote his book Wealth of Nations in 1776, the year the United States became free. The name of the book, he wrote 2 books, by the way. Inquiry into Nature, it's all nature related. And Moral Sentiments, Morality, what is fair. Out of that came the famous book, Wealth of Nations. And that led the ground rules of what we call capitalism. Now, 100 years later, another German, within Paris, Germany, and London, Karl Marx, wrote Socialism, and the famous book, Das Kapital. Read the book. He said that, look, if the capitalistic process worked, wealth would ultimately get concentrated in the hands of few. And that would obviously bring down capitalism. And we saw a little bit of that last year, where Karl Marx was misunderstood. The people, the countries which adopted the Marxist theory, like Russia, China, they perhaps were a bit too early to the game because Karl Marx's capitalism would come here at some point. After that, socialism would take off. But when people compare capitalism with socialism in parallel, obviously it is easy to justify capitalism because capitalism tends to be faster. And then very few end up making a lot of wealth. And we saw that success of the United States. And if you look at the top 100 rich people, perhaps 70 of them are from the United States. But at the same time, it is true that the gap between rich and poor in the US in the last 30 years have increased. It was decreasing before that. But in the last 30 years, the gap between rich and poor, even in the United States, has increased. And the gap between rich and poor in this country in the last 1,000 years continued to increase and accelerated in the last 15 years. And we are celebrating India, China. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for the great opportunity. We can take some questions.
Most certainly. That's what I stood up to ask.
We started with questions, we'll end with questions. Did I bore you or did you find it interesting?
But therefore, do you see a bigger synthesis of the liberal arts and sciences?
Absolutely, I do. Very much.
Which is,
I think that one of the biggest mistakes made development of education in the last 20 years, worldwide, not only in India, is that we compartmentalize too much. Because if you look at all the success stories, people like Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein, they were all liberal arts oriented. The liberal arts allows you to romanticize your life. Engineering brings the discipline. Now, if you can bring the romantic part of your life and harmonize with the scientific side of your life, the right brain and the left brain, one more, then I think big things will happen. The next slide. Oh, I see. You can switch off, please. Okay, so that was fine.
So as we saw like 2000 years, we went 2000 years behind and we went 25 years ahead. In that we've seen constant change for India. So has it been, has it damaged India in terms of culture, in terms of people? Have we diminished due to the constant changes, right from invasions, from the Mughals to,
I think that's a good question. It needs a very detailed discussion, but if I have to give you a 2-minute answer, change is obviously good. Change is good. When Alexander the Great came to this country, with him came some of the Western ways of thinking. But unfortunately, what India missed over the years, that when the kings were fighting with each other, one side always joined the invading, which means there was a fundamental lack of love for the country. So that part has remained constant, unfortunately. The patriotic spirit, that when someone from outside is invading, I should in fact protect, and the kings should come together. Instead, they always chose the foreigner to beat the other king. In this case was Parth, right? In case of Alexander. And we have repeatedly seen that throughout history. So there's one basic message that India never changed. India fundamentally has let down its country, powerful people in the country, whoever were the kings. And in the process, the foreigners have come and invaded. Now, the second thing that India mismanaged, so I feel India didn't change. India was getting victimized. But the other thing could have happened, how could India embrace learnings? Like from the British, we could have learned the discipline economy. My mother who grew up, and many of your grandparents or parents who grew up perhaps in the British system, she's always used to say that look, things used to work. When you went to the bank, banks worked. The Calcutta trams used to work. They were clean. The police was well dressed. There was discipline. But why couldn't we learn? Why did we become so indisciplined? Police is indisciplined. They do not look like police. Their tummy is coming out and like this. Where's the fitness? I like to say every police is like James Bond. Scotland Yard. That was there in this country. So I feel the second area where we as a country have mismanaged ourselves, we did not really learn fundamentals. We pick up the solutions. We learn how to put on the tie, but we do not know how to design the tie. Someone asked me that, I'll give you another problem, particularly for women in this class. Very important. Homework, second role. But this is only for women. But men are welcome to join. I was visiting a school. I do these are because I love this country. Somewhere in Uttar Pradesh. And it was all girls school. And after the school, I was being dropped off to the guest house where I stayed. And I asked there was a girl in the car, and there's a lady, these are all girls. So I asked her, what is your biggest challenge? And she answered, she gave me a beautiful answer that, look, sir, I have to wear sari every day to the school because our headmistress is very strict. He wants us to wear sari. I said, that's very good. I love sari also. Why are you complaining against it? It's very difficult to wear. It is messy. So I asked her, why don't you design something which looks like a sari, but behaves like a trouser? Now, in fact, it's happening now.
It's happening.
Other day in Hollywood, not in this country. It's happening in Hollywood. Recently, I was watching the Oscar. Not this year, last year, Oscar. I was watching, and all these fashionable women were walking. One of them was dressed in a way that it looked like a sari coming on. But what I realized she was wearing is all stitched. Now, I would like to see that we get this kind of innovation, that we retain our culture, but yet be practical. You know, the other day I was also talking about the way we make chapati. We make the chapati the same way as we used to make 2,000 years ago. Which is do this, you do that, same way. Now why can't we develop a new approach where a housewife can make 10 chapatis in 2 minutes as opposed to 20 minutes? Where is the productivity? This is how innovation start happening in other countries. Could we make the chapati machine? It makes 20 chapatis in 1 minute. Then you have a business proposition which you sell for 25 rupees a product, a huge market. Particularly at the bottom of the pyramid, there women are working as maid servants if they're in the city, if they're in the village, they're doing something in the field, but they have to come back. The equal opportunity has not yet come in this country because women have to work and also cook. Am I right? So I'm on the side of women this is happening. Because women are taking 70% of the load. Now, why don't you design products where a woman after 8 hours, 10 hours of work would come and cook food in 15 minutes, chapati and some sabji, and they should be able to make it in a very productive fashion. This is a great opportunity. This is part of the pyramid. But we are importing almonds, we are importing, I used to see this kitchenware in the advertisement. These are all Western products. Where is the innovation? And then you say India is advancing. This introduction of this BlackBerry to this market, this phone, is nothing to be proud of. So people, the other day I was flying, I was talking to Montek Sigalwale is the planning commission. I asked him, so how is India, part of India cannot do better? I said, Montek, how do you say that? Look, all these new products we have in the market space, I said, which products are you talking about? And he was looking at my cell phone. I said, do you really feel proud about having a cell phone in this country? This is from Nokia. Nokia will obviously sell it because you open up the market and you can pay for it. Why? What's new about it? But if you design a cell phone which is only 10 rupees, works on solar energy, has a different way of communicating with the towers. The towers are, you don't require the tower, you can activate a tree to become a tower, the tall palm trees. Then we're talking. So I do not see innovative spirit as yet. It may be there in the future, but that's why I'm looking forward to great ideas from all of you. What you can engage. A couple of things you can ask me what you shouldn't do because you've got 24 hours, right? Unless you can stretch time. But let's hope you have 24 hours. But then let's hope that you sleep 6 hours. So you're left with 24 minus 6, 18 hours. Now, the homework that I'm giving you guys, you could need some serious thinking if you're serious. which means you have to give up something. What do you think you have to give up? Give an idea. TV. No, that's your saying. That's your. Do you watch a lot of TV?
Watching unnecessary TV. I would say watching TV, unnecessary, the serials and all.
You know, another thing that, absolutely, you know, another thing which worries me, I'll be very honest with you. A lot of people talk about Bollywood, a lot of crap. But actually, Bollywood is hurting India. We buy that. How many would we agree with that statement?
Can you repeat that?
Bollywood is hurting India.
Bollywood is hurting India. How many of you agree?
But seven, minority. See, we have a challenge. No, that's good. I mean, we can debate. Now, let me tell you why I believe. Number one, you know, if you look at not all the movies, about 80% of the movies, 80, maybe 90% of the movies, are serving certain instincts. You know, we have all kinds of instincts, which India cannot afford to serve. And the nature of the movies are becoming more and more exposed. Do you agree? Yeah. Nice to watch. Young men who like to watch, pretty girls who like to watch certain parts of the world. The point is, when 80% of the people do not have any source of entertainment except the movies, what do you think happens to them? You think about that, number one. Number two, the other 20% who have other sources of entertainment, they're so much drawn into the entertainment part of us, culture, that all the serious stuff that we're talking about right now, the last 2 hours, do not get the right attention. If few people who are all of you are privileged, we have gone through the education system, which is still about, maybe you belong to the top 7% of Indian population. I think 7% goes to colleges.
Yeah.
7%. Maybe you belong to 7%, and then you have joined a very special school, that you postgraduate. So you belong to the top 2%. And if your time is being spent watching these useless movies, which you do, then who will solve the problem of this country? So people of India are too much engaged in entertaining themselves when we do not have the time to entertain ourselves. That's the second one. And third point, you know, Bollywood is also famous outside. And the image that they're forming about India is through Bollywood. But unfortunately, the depth of the movie, they are not the strategist radar movies, right? Very light. And now some of people are thinking that, you know, this is what India is all about. Which is not true, right? I believe that.
It's far from reality. Far from reality.
Far from reality. So I think you guys have to really think about this much more seriously. And unfortunately, you know, that's why you should be very proud that you are in Unitedworld. The name, look at the name, Unitedworld. The closest name was again Tagore, Vishwabharati. What is the translation of?
Yeah, the University of the World.
Vishwabharati. Tagore thought about it 100 years ago. 100 years, 70 years, 100 years, 70 years. When he started after Nobel Prize, he used the money to set up something. Now, I think you guys have to really define a new future. We have discussing these subjects, which very few people have admitted. I'm not going to add. They invite me, but now that I've committed to you, I would say no. So now you have to not cannot afford to let me down. Because that's what someone asked me why I'm here. I'm here because, you know, I like to always engage myself with something new. Because when there's something new, there's a possibility that's significantly higher. You know, Google was not created by Microsoft. Microsoft Microsoft was one created by IBM. Always this small endeavors which creates the future. So I think we are the cusp of a new beginning of this country and the world. I think I would like to believe that today was the cusp, the time of that new beginning. So I'd like you to really reflect on what we discussed. I think we've touched on a lot of points. This presentation I could have made in front of the faculty. It's not that kind of day. It's very relevant. But I think the Prime Minister would not understand this. You guys would understand it because your mind is still fresh. They would more think that how to stay in power, what have I done right, and there are a lot of things that we have to do which is not in the hands of politicians, it's hands of young people like you. So I'd like to stay in touch. My email is partha.sg@joel.com. Any personal thoughts you have, you can share with them. parthaSG@joel.com. Thank you very much.
One last question.
Last question. Okay.
One last question which I have to read out. Obviously, question from the heart. I'm interested in arts, dancing. How can I match my MBA education to my liking? Should hobbies be kept as hobbies, or should it become a career if possible?
Oh, very good question. Who is this lady?
Who's
Is
the
it one
lady?
man?
You ask a question.
She's a
Alright, somebody.
That's your question? But very good. I'm glad that you should talk offline also. You know, it's funny that you asked this question. If you look at most of the success stories in the world, it's Michael Jackson, unfortunately, no longer here, Madonna, you know, they have basically expressed themselves in the way they feel most befitting for their personal satisfaction in the process of engaging society. So if you are interested in dancing, there's so many things I could see. I mean, one of the things that you could see is the entertainment culture. It is true, as much as I was being critical, this is here to stay. But why don't we take Indian dance